Here we are at the project Food for Thought. And the first thing you'll notice is that each lesson begins with a learning target, so you know exactly what your students should know by the end of the lesson. Each lesson also has this preparing for section where you can find any online resources you might want to preview ahead of time or any supplies you might want to gather. Then there's a pretty straightforward step by step lesson plan. Every Blue Apple project begins with some sort of engaging entry event, something to really hook students and get them emotionally vested in the project. In this case, it's an eye-opening game called Your Heart or Mine. Then every lesson ends with students reflecting on their learning and recording those thoughts in their reflection journal. I also want to point out that there are online learning options. So if you find yourself in a blended learning environment, this will give you ideas for which parts of the lesson are better suited for in-class versus which parts are better suited for online. Or if you're in a completely remote environment, here's the modifications to make this work in that environment, including a digital version of the game, Your Heart or Mine. Moving on to lesson 2, I want to show you how the projects include tons of age-appropriate links for student-directed learning, in this case, about nutrition. And if you have struggling or emerging readers, up here are K2 modifications to differentiate for those students. After students learn about nutrition, in lesson 5, they have a chance to create their own recipes. And you'll see this is a great natural place to teach nonfiction text features as students write their own recipes. And there are cross-curricular connections like this throughout the project. Students then don their chef hats and have a chance to try out their recipes. Then in lesson 7, they get to iterate on what they've created with a Top Chef style competition. And we suggest inviting a nutritionist to serve as a judge. Don't have time to find one? Here's the contact information for a few who can visit your students. Hopefully that'll save you some time. Finally, every project offers students the opportunity to showcase their learning to an authentic audience. In this case, here's all the information you need to be able to publish and sell their class cookbook online. And there's even a suggestion on how they can donate the proceeds to really make a difference in the cause of nutrition. Lastly, I just want to show you how up here you can access those cross-curricular content connections. Remember I showed you the connection for nonfiction text features in lesson 5, but here you can see there's math, ELA, science, social studies, even social emotional learning connections. And over here are real-world connections. Remember I showed you the nutritionist, but there's so many more real-world connections. And finally, there are collaboration opportunities to collaborate with other classrooms. We could connect you with a teacher in another part of the country who's doing the same projects, and maybe you can swap recipes and compare experiences.